Hey everybody, my name is Bethany, and I'm just going to talk about today where some of us are at in our path to train for the Pacific Pole Championship using integrated periodization. So if you watched the previous videos, you know that integrated periodization kind of looks like a pyramid like this, and we have different phases. Earlier we were in the general preparatory phase. During that we focused on development of anatomical adaptation and strength. So we really wanted to create balance, physiological balance, and kind of wake up our muscles and tendons and create a good solid base for us to work with in the next phase. So the next phase, which we've been in for a while now, is the specific preparatory phase. Specific meaning specific to the sport. In here, we're focusing on sport-specific training. We're increasing in intensity and resistance in our training, focusing on strength and power development and the working capacity. So the specific prep phase is really a big bulk of the integrated periodization, where we're really preparing our body for competition. So what we've been doing here is that specific prep phase of the pyramid kind of taken out. We've been working on strength and power. So we've been doing that with lower volume, higher intensity. So usually 8 to 12 reps of a specific exercise with 2 to 4 sets. We're performing usually one specific exercise and doing those reps over and over again, with a little bit of rest in between each, so that the lower number of reps and higher intensity really increases strength and power in the body. So now that we have that strength and power developed in our bodies, we're going to, in this last part of the specific preparatory phase, add an endurance component, because it's cool to be able to do tricks, but you can't really perform in a competition if you can't perform a number of tricks throughout the 3 or 4 minutes of the song. So focusing on anaerobic endurance. So when we think about endurance, usually people think about like marathon runners or jogging or anything like that. That's a different type of endurance than we're going for. That's aerobic endurance, meaning type of metabolism that uses oxygen. We're going to go for anaerobic endurance because a lot of the tricks and pull use the anaerobic metabolic system. So we want to sustain strength and power in our bodies that we've already developed, but we want to sustain those for longer periods of time in our workout. So what does that look like specifically? I remember Janine Butterfly mentioning how she recommended to train, and she said stay off the ground. Now that would not have been a good way to train for us earlier in the program, because we didn't have the strength and power developed yet. So to stay off the ground, we wouldn't be able to sustain that without getting injured. But now that's really actually what we want to do. We want to do combos of more difficult moves. So instead of doing one move or one trick 8 times and then resting and then moving on to another one, we want to do combos. We want to stay off the pole. So we want to work, like I said, the anaerobic system. One way you can tell if you're working your anaerobic system, well, one, it's what you're doing. So if feels really strength and intensity heavy, it's probably anaerobic. High power sports are anaerobic. Also, if you feel lactic acid buildup, that's definitely anaerobic. So we want to work the anaerobic system and train it to perform for longer under the anaerobic conditions. So when you watch a pole performance, there's lots of high power, high intensity things for long periods of time. So those athletes are working, their bodies are working under anaerobic conditions, meaning a large amount of their energy is created through anaerobic metabolism. And those anaerobic metabolism has certain byproducts like lactic acid that have to be carried away from the muscles using other processes. But anyways, that's the condition that we want to be able to sustain for as long as possible. Usually the max is like around 3 minutes for a person, which is pretty cool because most songs last 3 to 4 minutes. So like I said, less time spent just trying one move than resting. One thing I do want to mention though is as we move on to this type of training, we want to keep physiological balance exercises as needed. So those are like reverse flies, shoulder press, lat pulls, things that work muscles that are opposite to the muscles we usually work during pull. So a lot of pull is anterior muscles and shoulders. So if you're doing a lot of this, you want to make sure you can focus on your back too. So those are important so that we don't get injured from getting imbalanced in our physiology. So exactly how you go about doing this really, especially in this stage, largely depends on your physiological makeup, your experience, even your psychological stress, because that affects how quickly you can recover. Whatever it ends up looking like as far as your combos go or how you train, you want to, by the end of a set of or a combo, you should feel really temporarily exhausted. So if your combo consists of climbing up and doing pull sit stuff, if that makes you tired, that's fine, that's where you are, but usually those type of moves, planks, are considered rest moves. That's because they're not stressing the anaerobic system. So just because you're off a pull doesn't necessarily mean you're stressing the anaerobic system. So whatever you do, you should be pooped for 2 to 3 minutes after you're done. Some examples of really good combos for this type of phase. Pull Moves has created Rebecca Pull Moves on a YouTube channel. It's called Pull Trainings. There's several advanced and elite combos on there that I think would be really great for this type of phase. The idea is just focus on taking those power and strength exercises that we used earlier in the preparatory phase and stringing them together to really sustain that strength and power and create endurance so that we can last the whole 2 to 4 minutes of our song during the Pacific Pull Championship. And as we go along, we'll probably be in this phase mid-December to end of December, and then we'll move on to the competitive phase where we'll focus more on, probably hit it really hard and then focus more on rest and then specifically preparing for our PPC performance, so focusing on tricks and combos that we specifically want to do, working on choreography, choosing our song, and then resting and preparing that way for the competition in March.